powerful government in those terms, where the Prime Minister controls not only the executive but also the legislative branch of government. While I certainly agree that we can't have that in Liberalia, the current system doesn't allow for that to happen. It means he can't.
Well, I agree.
Yeah.
I think Chusey, I don't think it's any of his fault, but I think he's actually misinterpreted our system of government in Liberalia, because where he's saying that the Prime Minister shouldn't control the legislature, I can tell him from experience, my extensive experience, that the Prime Minister has not got control of the legislature, and that's a comment of someone who hasn't been there to... it was a rare opportunity to actually win a vote in the Parliament. It is something... For a Prime Minister to get half his program legislated for, it's a uphill battle where you fight tooth and nail, and it's not some easy thing that it's made out to be.
All bills are hard to pass. You've got to table it and write it properly. Then you've got to get seek the approval of the influential people, and then everybody else to get.
And then you've got to make sure it passes Northern Sushi as well.
Yeah, well, of course, and at present, the only even remote kind of control that the Prime Minister exerts over the legislative is that he gets to pick the Speaker, but even then, still has to be approved by Parliament, which Parliament.
And if anything, that
controlled.
actually, in most cases, weakens his position.
It does indeed, yeah.
Because if it's a supporter of the Prime Minister, that's one less vote.
It is, because, the Speaker of Parliament usually only gets a chance to vote in the case where it's a tie-break, the tie-break vote. So if he's sitting, putting one of his, the people he knows is going to support his legislation in charge there, he's going to lose one vote in favour of his legislation. But at the same time, if he puts an opponent, he's going to have a Speaker who's very awkward to work with, and very hard to sort of get legislation put through solidly with the Speaker's support.
And I do think that there is some credit to Chusey's comments about respecting the Prime Minister and all that.
Oh, certainly, yeah.
Where I do agree that I think, though, what changes have been made recently in the Parliament, in the structure, I think has been done to make more respect and actually, respect the institutions itself. And I think the problem, though, is people don't fully understand how it works.
Yeah, well, as you've pointed out, the question... Well, as many people have pointed out, myself included, the question time period is there to scrutinise the government. It's there to bring the government to account for its actions, for them to explain what they're doing and why. It's not there... it's not something where people ask questions and go, oh, well, we're going to attack you now, we don't like this idea. It's a place where people can say, well, I have a few concerns over this issue. What are you actually doing? The question time and the opposition position is very important to our government, because it means that we have effective accountability and scrutinisation of our executive branch of government. It should be by no means something that forces somebody out of office like it did with Woolcott.
And I agree with you when you said that, because Julia Trigman and myself were the ones who actually decided to bring it into place. Julia agreed to implement it during his government, which I asked him to, and I agreed to keep it on in my time. And I completely supported it, and we never had the problems where I felt like I was being driven out of office. And I honestly think that you lot gave me a much harder time than anyone gave Woolcott or any of his people. I think if anything, the problem was the glass jaw aspect of the last government than anything to do with the tenacity of the opposition. I think they gave them the pillow tickling treatment in comparison.
Yeah, I mean, Palestine Free 2's method was very much asking hard questions, whereas my method when I was leader of the opposition was to be more direct criticism of the government, to rather than questioning, in order to bring about attention about things that I felt and my party felt weren't right. My method was very much more confrontational than Palestine Free 2's method, and I think had I been the opposition leader instead of Palestine Free 2 with Woolcott, I think there would have been a lot more arguments, and I don't think Woolcott would have lasted as long as he did. And that's not a point that gives me pride, and